So there's a family that went to Europe for their family vacation. And they took their little 6-year-old daughter, Sarah, with them. And they visited many cathedrals and many chapels and, the exquisite old cathedrals and chapels that are in Europe. And so many of them had these exquisitely beautiful, large, stained glass windows. And when the family came home from that trip and went to church the next Sunday, little Sarah was in her Sunday school class, and the teacher said to the students, "So does anybody know who the saints are?" And little Sarah raised her hand. She says, I do, pick me, I know. And so the teacher said, "Okay, little Sarah, tell us, who are the saints?" And she said, "Saints are the people that the light shines through." Okay, hold that thought. Some of you got that, some of you didn't, but that's all right. Hold that thought. This month, we are exploring the light shining through the brilliant diamond, that's us, and how we can shine bright like a diamond. And we're using the 4 C's of diamond rating to look at how that can be, to help inform us in how we can shine bright like the diamond of the divine that we are. So the 4 C's, we're taking one each week, and they're cut. We did that the first week was Easter, and then we took cut, and then last week we did clarity, and today we're going to do color. We're going to take color. Because in the world of diamonds, a color is, by many accounts, by many diamond experts, color is the most important of the 4 qualities. And a diamond that is actually colorless is the most valuable diamond. The most valuable diamond is chemically pure and structurally perfect, so it is colorless and therefore lets the light shine through, just like the saints. Okay, now you saw how that wove. See how that wove all together. I thought that was rather brilliant. You're not giving the response I had hoped from that, but there it goes. It's all right. It's okay. You see, homiletics student. We've got a homiletics class right now, which are people learning. They've got 15 students who are learning how to give sermons. So that was an example of when it bombs, just make a joke out of it, and just move on. Just move on from it. Just gave you a little insight now into that. So here's the question: how can we be a colorless diamond so that the light of God, the power of God, the presence of God can fully and completely shine through us? Lao Tzu, the great spiritual master and mystic and creator of a whole spiritual path, once said, "Every human being's essential nature is perfect and faultless. But after years of immersion in the world, we easily forget our roots and take on a counterfeit nature." We're talking about releasing that counterfeit nature, getting back to our flawless, faultless, is his words, in the diamond language, it would be flawlessness, and our complete lack of color so that the divine can express through us unencumbered. So that's our exploration for today. My question for you, which I will give you some information first before I ask it. So we're going to, this in my mind, I decided that I could just talk at you about this, and I can do that and have done that on many, many topics. But I really wanted you, and I had this, I thought, divinely inspired idea for you to have an experience of something today. So today is going to be very interactive. Is that okay? Because if not, I would be in big trouble. But you said yes, so I'm happy that you said yes to that. Who is familiar with I won't even say the what, I'll just say, who is familiar with Joel Goldsmith? Okay, a couple of 3 hands. Yeah, 4, half dozen there. Tell me one thing about Joel Goldsmith. Give me a factoid about Joel Goldsmith. Somebody who knows, just yell it out. I'll repeat after you. Yes. Oh, he's very motivational. Yes. Perfect. Yes. He's an author. Yes. Elaine.
He wasn't a practitioner, but someone asked him to pray for him, and their belief in him praying for them healed
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that happened way more than one time. At the time. Yeah. So when did he hang out in this world? Anybody know that? He was a contemporary of someone's. Who might that be? Thank you. He was a contemporary of Ernest Holmes. And thank you, he was a mystic, a contemporary mystic. He wrote, as a matter of fact, I Googled to see how many books he had written, and I didn't get a list, but I got the book covers. You know how they show the book covers across your screen? And I kept scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I quit counting and scrolling. At least 30. There was at least 30 books that Joel Goldsmith has written. Probably his most famous, because it became almost a movement, maybe it was a movement, called The Infinite Way. Or Practicing the Presence was one I'll quote from today. So here's the final question, and it's okay if you don't know the answer, because I do. But here the question is, if you were to summarize his teachings in like one sentence, what might it be? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Summarize his teachings in one sentence. Oneness. Thank you. Oneness. Yes. That was one word. Good job. So what I will say about that is... Was that you, Flannery? Are you who said that? Yeah, I thought so. His whole message, his whole ministry, his 30 books are about the idea of just seek to know God as you. That's all you need to do. So yes, oneness. If we know our oneness with the divine, in our terminology today, if we let the light of God shine through us, bright like a diamond, we will shine like that diamond. And we don't really need to do anything else. His view was we don't need to pray for anything other than to know God as us. That's it. That's all it takes. So we're going to look at that idea today and how our idea of the colorlessness of a diamond might fit that. But I want to give you a quote from Practicing the Presence and have a little conversation about it before we get to our interactive experience. So he wrote, God is love, God is life, God is spirit, God is all. Sounds very much like Dr. Holmes, doesn't it? That is true whether we are saints. I went back to my story, get that? Whether we are saints. I wanted just to tie that in. It is true whether we are saints or sinners. It is true whether we are young or old, relative terms, of course, Jew or Gentile, Oriental or Occidental, black, yellow, or white. There is no exception to God. God is no respecter of persons. There is no way in which God can be left out of its own universe, but we can leave ourselves out. There is a God, never doubt that. This God is infinite in nature, eternal, universal, impersonal, impartial, and omnipresent. But how do we avail ourselves of that which God is? Our question for the morning. How do we bring this that we know about God into our individual experience? Again, our question for the morning. He says to illustrate, we can turn to the field of music. The principle of music is absolute. If, however, we fail to understand its principle and the sounds produced turn into a jumble of discordant noises, we do not rail against the principle of music. Now, let me stop for just 1 second and ask a couple of rhetorical questions. How many times have we, in our experience of life, when we are producing a jumble of discordant noises in our life, you've had an experience that you would call discordant noises in your life? Righto? Yes. How many times, don't have to answer this, rhetorical, do we rail against God? How could you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why, blah, 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 are you punishing me? Or maybe you don't do that anymore because you now know the law of cause and effect. You understand that God is a principle and a power of warmth and color, but there's a principle that is always in operation, and it operates, impersonally and impartially. We know that in our head, and then we have a jumble of discordant noises in our lives, and we say things like, this stuff doesn't work. Or, I've heard this one, it works for everyone but me. I've heard that too. So we don't do that with music. We don't say, well, the principle of music doesn't work because you hit a sour note. That's what Goldsmith is telling us here. So to finish what he said, to back up and then complete, he said, if we fail to understand the principle of music and the sounds produced turn into a jumble of discordant noises, we do not rail against the principle. Instead, we apply ourselves more diligently to practicing the principle until we become proficient in its application. So it must be in our God experience. God is, and God is here, and God is now, but God is available only in proportion to our realization and willingness to accept the discipline that is necessary for the attainment of that mind which was also in Christ Jesus. What is the mind? What is the mind that is also in Christ Jesus? It is the mind that knew its oneness. It is the mind that knows its divinity. It is the mind that, as Ernest Holmes says in the Science Mind textbook, in the chapter Finding the Christ, he said that Jesus didn't know where God stopped, and he started, and God stopped. That's the mind that Goldsmith is saying we need to have the discipline to live from that place. And it is when we live from that place that the discordant noises that we might make disappear, because we're living now in harmony with a principle that is there always, with a presence that is there always, with a power that is there, that is here always and in all ways. That's Goldsmith's message. So I want us to look at that this morning in perhaps a unique way, and taking the lead from the colorless diamond. So a diamond, of course, a cut diamond, it's a whole bunch of prisms, right? There's just a bunch of prisms inside this diamond. See them in there? There they are. You can see the light reflecting. Now, if I held this just the right way, and the white light came through a perfectly clear diamond that is a bunch of prisms, what's going to happen to that white light that comes through that prism? What's going to happen? Pew. My science teacher over there. Yeah. A spectrum of color that makes up the white light. You know, white light is not white. It's a spectrum of colors. It's a combination of 6 colors. So if you shine a white light through a clear, colorless diamond, whoosh, you have red and orange and yellow and green and blue and violet or purple. Those are the colors that you get when the light shines through the clear, colorless diamond. I pose to you this morning that when we make a conscious intention to have the light of the divine shine as us, through us, out into the world, and we give that a clear path, a colorless path, if you will, to do that, then our life reflects those colors. And those are the colors of our lives. Well, that's a cool theory, isn't it? I mean, I really like that. And I knew I wanted to talk about that, and then I spent much of Friday in Prescott with Dr. Bobby and Cindy and Reverend John and a bunch of other people. We went up to participate in the celebration of life of Dr. Bob Henderson, who is the second religious science minister in Phoenix, Arizona. He took the pulpit from the Dr. Mark Carpenter, who brought religious science to Phoenix. Nonetheless, it was an exquisitely beautiful celebration of his life, and it was a beautiful celebration of his life. And he lived from this place of colorlessness. And anyway, I Friday night was inspired by, that day and having that experience, and I was sitting with Lonnie, and all of a sudden, a light bulb went off about how we might have an experience today. And it was about 9 o'clock. And I said to myself, ooh, but this needs a graphic. This needs a handout. This needs something. So I turned, it's 9 o'clock Friday night. Lonnie, honey, I had this idea for Sunday, but I need your help. And here's what I have envisioned. I have this graphic and I want to do a handout and we're going to do an exercise. Would you do this for me? And so he went, of course. So he goes in his office, fires up his computer, creates this beautiful handout. We send it off to Kinko's, get it printed, and in your pew pocket in front of you, there should be one of these. Now, because of first service, things may have moved and shifted. If you don't have one in the pew pocket in front of you, we've got Diana right there with more, or there may be people behind you who have. But who needs one? Who doesn't have one? Anybody not have one? We're all finding one? Good. I think we're good. Thank you. Now, the second piece is, do you all have a pen? Because you're going to need a pen. If you don't have a pen, look at the woman next to you and her purse. She's got at least 3. And 2 of them probably work. But we have pens coming around as well. Anybody need a pen? We've got pens coming around. You're right. We hope it works. Right. All right. I pose that those colors that I said a moment ago, red and orange and yellow and green and blue and violets, are the colors of our lives. And I love this statement from Ernest Holmes from the textbook 148. He said, as our minds become more like the divine mind, right, same thing as the mind of Christ, we all expand into a greater livingness. Our world created by our consciousness, and our consciousness taking its color from the perception of our relationship to the infinite. So this, I'm going to explain what we're going to do, and then we're going to do it. I'm going to invite you in a moment into a meditation. And I'm going to offer you some God qualities that are represented by each one of these colors. And I'll say them slowly. I'll say them a second time. What I want you to be paying attention to is, where do you get a hit, meaning a tingle, a yes, something that says to you, yes, that's my God quality for that color. Pay attention to that. Pick 2 maybe in each one, although I was seeing from first service people carrying theirs out and they had every single quality I had suggested written in. If that's what you want to do, have at it. My suggestion is that you pick 1 or 2 of the qualities and have 1 or 2 in each color. Does that make sense? Because you're going to have a mission after we do this, and that your mission this week is that your only prayer this week is to express those qualities. I don't care what's up in your life. I don't care if you're trying to close on a house. I don't care if you've got a financial situation. I don't care if you've got a health situation. I just invite you into simply praying this week to express these qualities that you identify of the divine. Yeah? Yeah. All right. So with your paper in hand, with your pen in hand, I invite you to close your eyes. And take a deep breath. Deep breath. Deep belly breath. Deep into your diaphragm. And we know we've taken a deep breath when our abdomen actually extends when we breathe in, because we've filled it so full that it has to pooch out. And then you contract it as you push the air up and out. So deep belly breath in, deep down into your diaphragm, belly out. And exhale, bringing your abdomen in to squeeze it back out. 1 more deep breath like that. And now you just breathe normally, naturally. But center yourself in that place where I believe, if we were to identify where the center of the divine resides in our bodies, I believe it's right there at that level of the diaphragm. It's right there below our navels. It's right there. That's our source of divine intuition and power and creativity. So just anchor in that place in you right now. And call forth from that place a knowing, a clarity around your perfect, unique to you, God quality or two that is symbolized by each one of these colors. And simply know that you get the God hit that identifies what those colors are for you, or what those qualities are for you. So we turn first to red, the color that is directly above the diamond in our graphic here, in our color wheel. And red, the color of red, symbolizes energy. Just listen to all of these first before you write anything. Symbolizes energy and strength, vigor and power, fire and determination, passion, love, life force. Those are the qualities of God that red symbolizes. Again, the quality of energy, the quality of strength, vigor, power, fire, determination, passion, love, life force. Which one or ones of those called you? Write them down in the red portion of your color wheel. Or perhaps you have another word for red that fits better for you that I didn't read. Put that one in there. And that goes for all of the colors and all of the qualities. Let us turn now to orange, the next one to the right of red. Orange representing enthusiasm, fascination, creativity, success, victory, encouragement, and support. Those are the God qualities of the color orange. Enthusiasm, fascination, creativity, success, victory, encouragement, support. What one or two of those qualities is the way you express life in your orange spectrum? Write those down. And then we move to yellow. Yellow, the color of the sun, joy, happiness, lightheartedness, also intelligence and courage, freshness, newness, spontaneity, cheerfulness, centuries ago, yellow represented honor and loyalty. Again, the God qualities of our yellow on our color spectrum are joy, happiness, light-heartedness, intelligence, courage, freshness, newness, spontaneity, cheerfulness, honor, and loyalty. Which are yours? Which one gave you God bumps? Moving one more to the right on our color wheel. Green at the bottom. Green symbolizing growth, harmony, safety, abundance, including financial abundance, stability, endurance, healing, and wholeness. Green symbolizing the qualities of God that are growth, harmony, safety, abundance, including financial, stability, endurance, healing, and wholeness. What are yours? Write them down. We turn now to blue. Blue symbolizes many things. Many things. So take all of these in before you decide, unless, of course, you get a huge hit, and then that one is yours. Blue represents the God quality of depth. It represents the God quality of trustworthiness, confidence, faith, truth, calm, tranquility, understanding, softness, knowledge, and integrity. The rich color of blue representing depth, stability, trustworthiness, confidence, faith, truth, calm, tranquility, sincerity, understanding, softness, knowledge, integrity. Which are yours? And finally, we turn to the last color of violet or purple. And I love that this color is a combination of the stability and tranquility of blue and the energy of red. And it symbolizes royalty, nobility, luxury, wealth, wisdom, dignity, independence, mystery, and magic. From that list, what are yours? Royalty, nobility, luxury, wealth, wisdom, dignity, independence, mystery, and magic. So I want you to open your eyes just enough for them to land on that full color wheel. And look at each one of those qualities. As you look at them, as you read them, breathe them in. Go around the wheel. And then take your eyes to the diamond in the center. And know that that is you. Colorless, clear. And that wheel of color around it is the way you, in your unique and perfect and individualized way, express that diamond that is you. Bring your eyes to a close again. Joel Goldsmith wrote in the Practicing the Presence, "To seek God without a purpose is the ultimate of spiritual realization." To seek God without a purpose. In this moment, we turn to that infinite presence, that infinite power, that infinite light that is God, for no reason other than to have an experience of it. For no reason other than to consciously be aware that that presence, that power, that light lives and has its being as us. That we are it, and it is us. And so I accept for each one of us that as we move forward in this week, that our only prayer this week is to seek God with no purpose other than to express the divine spectrum of color that we are. I know this for each of us, and I rejoice in the exquisite rainbow that occurs as we each express who and whose we are. For this I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, source. And in faith, and in trust, and in truth, I let it be. And so it is.